We've always been told about how deforestation is a problem, but do we really understand the gravity of its effects and what it actually does? But not to worry, because today we will be talking about how it affects animal life, ecology, what we can do about it, and how to stop deforestation. So the first thing is, we'll have to define deforestation, its causes, effects, and some statistics to give everybody a view of how massive this problem is. So deforestation is the act of clearing, destroying, or otherwise removal of trees through deliberate, natural, or accidental means. So what actually causes deforestation? Starting on with the human causes or activities, people clear out space for agriculture and farming, or land grazing to create pastures for our livestock. There's also a wood extraction for wooden products, both legal and illegal. Also, people make space for infrastructure. Those includes roads, transportations, and buildings. And of course, the last one is accidental forest fires caused by humans. So now, let's talk about the environmental effects of deforestation from above. First is loss of habitat. One of the most dangerous effects of deforestation is the loss of animal and plant species due to their loss of habitat. 70% of land animals and land species live in forests. Deforestation results in a more drastic temperature variation from day to night, much like a desert, which could prove fatal for many inhabitants. So of course, animals and plant species will be killed, and that's the worst. Second is increased greenhouse gases. In addition to the loss of habitat, lack of trees also allows a greater amount of greenhouse gases to be released into the atmosphere. Unhealthy forests absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, acting as a valuable carbon sinks. Deforested areas of forest lost that ability and release more carbon. Third is water in the atmosphere. The trees can also help control the level of water in the atmosphere by helping to regulate the water cycle. In deforested areas, there is less water in the air to be returned to the soil. This can cause drier soil and inability to grow plant species. So what about the environmental effects of deforestation from below? First, we have soil erosion and flooding. Effects of deforestation includes soil erosion and coastal flooding. The roots of the trees helps to retain water in topsoil, which can provide the rich nutrients to sustain the additional forest life. Without forests, the soil erodes and washes away. It's easier to wash away the houses and causing farmers to move on and perpetuate the cycle. The land which is left behind of these unsustainable agricultural practices is then more susceptible to flooding, especially in coastal regions. Deforestation can also affect indigenous people. Example of it is the destruction of homeland. As large amount of forests are cleared away and habitats of innumerable species to be destroyed, also the indigenous communities who live there and depend on the forest to survive are also under threat. The loss of forest has the greatest impact in their lifestyle. The level of immediacy is exponentially greater for indigenous people. After all of these, you may ask yourself, how do we address this problem? What's the solution? We have three ways in order to mitigate these problems. First and foremost is the government laws and regulations that we have here in the Philippines. According to Section 8 of Republic Act No. 10,176, known as Arbor Day Act of 2012, all able-bodied citizens of the Philippines who are at least 12 years of age are required to plant one tree a year. Although there is no provision in the law to enforce and monitor compliance to these requirements, we can still see some news or articles on how people plant trees through students or groups of people that shows concerns in our nature. Secondly, we have nature reserves. Why do you think these are important? With a healthy biodiversity, humans can study them for research and education so that we can clearly understand our natural heritage better. Nature reserves also give us high priority to protect the wildlife habitats and natural features. Lastly, we have the reforestation. This is the most important of all the aspects in order to combat deforestation. It is because forests are responsible for maintaining the balance between carbon dioxide and oxygen here on Earth. Reforestation plays an important role in order to overcome deforestation and restore the natural balance of plant life on the planet. The answer is simple. It must begin with us. We must be educated enough. We must follow simple rules and regulations in order to protect our planet, which we call our home. So what I'm trying to say is, stop deforestation.